The gunfire echoed through the canyon before Jasper Cade even saw the smoke. Blood pooled around the overturned stagecoach, the horses gone, the driver sprawled motionless in the dirt. His mail-order bride was supposed to arrive on that coach. Instead, he found death and the sharp crack of rifles from the hills above. Before we dive into the story, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what time it is there. Also, click the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more incredible stories tomorrow. Now, let's continue with the story. Jasper followed the tracks into the rocks, Henry rifle tight against his shoulder, every sense stretched thin. The prints were fresh, broken where hooves had churned the ground into chaos. Gunfire echoed again. Sharp. Desperate. He crested the ridge just as the fight revealed itself. The woman had taken cover behind a jagged boulder outcropping, her white wedding dress torn and streaked dark with blood at the shoulder. She fired from one knee, calm and deadly, reloading her revolver with practiced speed, while 4 mounted bandits circled below, searching for an opening. 2 men already lay motionless in the grass. Her work. She was magnificent. And terrifying. Jasper dropped to one knee, sighted down the barrel, and fired. The nearest rider jerked back and toppled from his saddle, hitting the ground hard. The woman's head snapped toward him, eyes wild with shock for half a heartbeat. Then she turned back to the fight with renewed fury. They worked together without a word. Jasper's rifle cracked again, forcing the bandits to scatter. The woman's revolver barked in sharp, measured rhythm. One man screamed, clutching his arm as his horse spun away. Another shouted something Jasper couldn't make out before spurring toward the canyon mouth. Then, silence. The sudden quiet felt heavy after the thunder of gunfire. Jasper descended carefully, rifle still raised. The woman stood now, pressed against the rocks, revolver tracking his movement with unwavering precision. Her dress hung in tatters, blood soaking through the fabric at her ribs. Dark hair had escaped its pins, framing a face that was both striking and unyielding. She looked like someone who would not surrender easily, if at all. Evangeline Marlowe. His voice carried across the distance. Her gun hand steadied, aimed directly at his chest. How did you find me? I'm Jasper Cade. You were supposed to marry me today. Something flickered in her eyes. Fear or relief, he couldn't tell. She opened her mouth to speak, then her knees buckled. Jasper lunged forward, catching her before she hit the ground. Her revolver clattered against stone. Up close, he saw the bullet graze across her ribs, bleeding freely through the ruined silk. "They'll come back," she whispered, her hand gripping his shirt with surprising strength. "They always come back." Her eyes rolled back and she went limp in his arms, leaving Jasper, holding a stranger who fought like a demon and carried secrets he could see written in every scar on her hands. The woman he'd paid passage for, sight unseen, desperate for a wife to keep his land claim legal. He looked toward the canyon entrance where dust still hung in the air from the fleeing bandits, then down at the unconscious woman bleeding against his chest. Whatever he'd expected from a mail-order bride, it wasn't this. But standing there with gun smoke still thick in his throat and her blood warm on his hands, Jasper Cade realized his life had just changed in ways he couldn't begin to understand. Jasper carried her into the cave network a mile north, her weight slack in his arms, her blood warm against his shirt. The entrance was narrow and well hidden behind scrub oak, deep enough to swallow sound and sight alike. He laid her on his bedroll and went to work quickly, tearing away ruined silk to expose the wound. A bullet graze along her ribs, clean through, no lead left behind. Lucky. She woke when he poured whiskey over it. Her hand shot up, clamping around his wrist with iron strength. Her eyes locked on him instantly, sharp and assessing, measuring distance, threat, escape. The revolver was gone, but her body didn't seem to know it. Easy, Jasper said. I'm helping. Where are we? Devil's Creek Caves. You passed out. She released him slowly, grimacing as she tried to sit. He pressed her back down and finished the bandage. Outside, the sun slid toward the horizon, painting the canyon walls red. They'll come back, she said. I know. Then you should leave me. Jasper shook his head. You're my wife. Or supposed to be. Her eyes narrowed. You don't know what you're saying. I know you shoot better than most men I've ridden with. I know those bandits wanted you alive, and I know you're running from something. He met her gaze, steady and unflinching. Tell me what I'm dealing with. Ava was silent for a long moment. Darkness crept into the cave mouth. Finally she spoke. Men from my past. They want something they think I have. Do you? No. They believe you do. Yes. Jasper handed her a canteen. She drank, watching him over the rim. Outside, a coyote called. Or maybe it wasn't a coyote. Why did you answer my advertisement? He asked. Same reason you placed it. Fresh start. New name. Distance from what came before. She paused. Why does a man need a mail-order bride bad enough to pay passage from St. Louis? Homestead law requires married men for certain claims. I have a nephew to raise, 9 years old, orphaned. Without a wife, I lose the land. Without the land, I lose him. The words came hard. I'm not asking for love, just partnership, survival. Ava studied him in the dying light. You're offering that to a woman who brought killers to your doorstep? You planning to bring more? They might already be here. As if summoned by her words, horses whinnied in the distance. Bootsteps on stone. Jasper moved to the cave mouth, rifle ready. Eva struggled to sit, her hand searching for a weapon she didn't have. He passed her his revolver without looking back. If we survive this, she whispered, I'll marry you, legal and binding. But you need to understand something. What's that? I'm not some helpless woman who needs saving. I can fight. I will fight. Good, Jasper said. We'll need that. The footsteps grew closer. Voices now, 3 or 4 men spreading out to search. Jasper pulled back deeper into shadow, Eva beside him with his revolver steady in both hands despite her wound. Dawn was 6 hours away, and the bandits were done waiting. They came at dawn with torches and kindling, planning to smoke them out like animals. Jasper spotted the shadows moving across the canyon floor. 4 men, maybe 5, spreading to block both cave entrances. Eva crouched beside him, breathing controlled despite the pain pulling tight across her ribs. The back way? She whispered. High ground, Jasper said. Better angle. They moved through the dark tunnel and emerged onto a narrow ledge 30 feet above the bandits. Below, one man stuffed dried grass into the cave mouth while another struck flint. Smoke began to curl upward. Now! Jasper fired first. The man with the torch collapsed where he stood. Eva fired twice, clean, precise, dropping another bandit with a shot to the leg. The rest scattered, returning fire wildly at shapes they couldn't see in the low dawn light. Jasper and Eva answered with disciplined precision, trapping them in a crossfire with nowhere to hide. Another man fell, clutching his shoulder. Pull back! Someone shouted. The voice made Ava's hands shake. Pull back! We'll wait them out! Rafe! The name escaped her lips like a curse. The surviving bandits dragged their wounded toward the horses. Ava stood, stepping fully into view, her revolver tracking the leader. A tall man with a scar splitting his eyebrow, maybe 40, hard-faced and furious. I know you're up there, Ava, he shouted. This doesn't end until I get what's mine. Jasper fired, the bullet kicking up dust at Rafe's feet. The outlaw threw himself onto his horse, and they thundered away south. One bandit lay dead in the grass. The one with the leg wound wouldn't make it far. "We need to move," Jasper said. "They'll regroup." Ava's face had gone pale. She nodded, following him down to where he'd hidden his horse. They rode hard across open grassland, the sun climbing hot behind them. Jasper waited until they'd put 3 miles between them and Devil's Creek before he spoke. "Who's Rafe?" Eva's jaw tightened. "My father's right hand. His name was Luther Marlowe." Jasper pulled his horse up short. "The Luther Marlowe? The one who robbed the Denver Mint?" "Yes. Your father was the biggest outlaw in 3 territories." "Yes." They rode again, faster now. Eva spoke in fragments. There were words torn from her. Luther Marlowe had hidden gold somewhere before he died 6 months back. Rafe had been his partner, had been Eva's fiancé before she saw him murder a family during a robbery. She'd run, changed her name, buried and everything about that life. "He thinks I know where the gold is," she said. "But I don't. I destroyed the only letter my father left me because I wanted nothing to do with it." Rafe doesn't believe that. No. The ranch appeared in the distance, small and isolated against the vast grassland. A figure stood on the porch, small and still. A boy holding a rifle almost as big as he was, watching strangers approach his home. Ava saw him and felt her heart break. She'd brought death to this place, to this child who'd already lost everything once before. Kit ran the instant he saw Eva's bloodied dress, straight for the barn, fear swallowing him whole. Jasper dismounted quickly, steadying Eva as she slid from the saddle. She swayed, gripping the horn until her balance returned. "He's been alone too long," Jasper said quietly. "Doesn't trust easy." "Smart boy," Eva replied. Inside, the house was plain, 1 large room for cooking and living, 2 small bedrooms tucked behind. Clean but sparse, the kind of poverty built on pride. Jasper settled Eva at the table and brought water and clean cloths. His hands were gentle as he checked the bandage, efficient from long habit. "You've done this before," Ava said. "Cavalry scout. Saw my share of wounds." He glanced at her hands, scarred and steady. "You've seen yours too. Those weren't made in a kitchen." Ava folded her hands into her lap. "My father believed I should survive. He taught me to shoot, to fight, to depend on no one." "Looks like he succeeded." "He did many things," she said quietly. "Most of them wrong." Ava insisted on helping with evening chores despite Jasper's protests. She moved stiffly, pain evident in every step, but she fed the chickens and drew water from the well. Jasper watched from the barn door where he was tending the horses. This strange woman who fought bandits in a wedding dress and now carried feed buckets like she belonged here. Kit stayed hidden until supper. He crept in, took his plate, and retreated to his room without speaking. Ava caught the red in his eyes, the way he wouldn't look at either of them. "He cries at night," Jasper said after they'd eaten in silence. "Every night since his parents died. Nothing I say helps." That night, Ava heard it. Muffled sobs from behind Kit's door, the sound of a child trying to be brave and failing. She approached quietly, sitting with her back against the wood. "I knew a girl once," she said softly. "She was terrified all the time. Her father was a dangerous man and she saw terrible things. She wanted to run but didn't know where to go. So she learned to be brave even when her hands shook, even when she wanted to cry." The sobbing stopped. Silence stretched long enough that Eva thought he'd gone to sleep. Then the door cracked open. Kit's face appeared, tear-streaked and wary. "What happened to her?" "She's still learning, but she found people worth protecting. That helped." Kit studied her for a long moment. Did she kill those men today? 2 of them. Good. He closed the door, but softer this time. Ava sat there in the darkness, listening to his breathing even out. She touched the bandage under her borrowed shirt, felt the ache in her ribs, and made her choice. Jasper found her at dawn, checking the sight lines around the property. "I'm staying," she told him. "Not just to hide, to protect what you've built here. That boy's already lost 1 family. He won't lose another because of me." The land office clerk barely looked up when they signed the papers. Jasper Cade, Evangeline Marlowe, married by territorial law. The clerk stamped the homestead claim without ceremony. They walked out as husband and wife. Still strangers, bound by danger and necessity rather than vows. Ava threw herself into work the moment they returned. She repaired fence lines with practiced ease, trained horses with calm authority, and split wood faster than Jasper had thought possible. He'd expected a soft city woman. Instead, he'd married someone who understood survival. Kit warmed to her slowly. In the evenings, she taught him letters. Patient through every mistake, proud of every success. The boy who had once hidden in the barn now sat beside her at the table, sounding out words from his mother's old primer. 3 days after the wedding, Jasper found Eva behind the barn at sunset. She stood 20 paces from a row of wooden targets, throwing knives with mechanical precision. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Every blade struck dead center. She turned, caught his stare. "My father's lessons." "Good lessons. For the wrong reasons." He walked closer, examining the targets. "You expecting to need those skills?" "I always expect it." That night, after Kit was asleep, they sat on the porch in darkness. Jasper passed her coffee, and for the first time, they talked beyond necessity. "The scar," she said, gesturing to his jaw. "How?" "Cheyenne Arrow, 1875. Ambush near Fort Laramie. I was scouting for the cavalry." His fingers traced the raised line. "My best friend took one through the chest. Died in my arms while I was too wounded to help him." "That's why you left?" "Couldn't do it anymore. Watching good men die for land that wasn't ours to take." He looked at her. "Your turn. Those scars on your knuckles." Eva was quiet, then spoke. "My father trained me like a son. Knife fighting, bare knuckle, weapons. Said a woman needed to be twice as dangerous to survive half as long." He wasn't wrong. He also murdered innocent people for money. The silence between them felt different now, understanding replacing suspicion. 2 people carrying violence they never asked for, trying to build something clean from blood-stained hands. The stranger arrived on the 4th day, rough-dressed, asking casual questions in town about the Cade Ranch, about a woman matching Ava's description. The storekeeper, a friend of Jasper's, rode out to warn them. Eva's face went pale as she listened. "Rafe's spreading word. He's putting a bounty on information." "How long before they come?" "Days. Maybe less." Kit appeared in the doorway, holding his reader. "Are the bad men coming back?" Eva knelt, meeting his eyes. "Yes. But we're ready this time." Jasper saw it then, the shift. This wasn't just about keeping his land anymore. This was about protecting what they'd started to become, a family worth defending. More strangers came, 2 in town asking about Luther Marlowe's daughter, 1 riding past the ranch boundary, studying the buildings before moving on. Jasper brought Kit to Thornback Junction less, keeping him close to home. Eva started training the boy with firearms. Jasper protested until he watched her teach, patient and methodical, showing Kit how to breathe, how to squeeze instead of pull, how to respect the weapon's power. The boy learned fast, his small hand steady on the rifle. "He needs this," Ava said when Jasper questioned her. If they come, he needs to defend himself. Jasper couldn't argue, not when he'd seen what Rafe's men were capable of. The letter appeared on the barn door 3 mornings later, nailed through with a Bowie knife. Eva read it standing in the yard, her face draining of color. Jasper took it from her shaking hands. Meet me at Black Rock Canyon alone. Tell me where the gold is. You have 3 days. If you don't come, I burn everything your cowboys built, starting with his nephew. Jasper crumpled the paper. He's bluffing. You don't know him. That night, Eva packed a saddlebag in the dark. Jasper found her in the barn, cinching her horse's girth. Where do you think you're going? Away from here. Away from you and Kit. Her voice was steady, but her hands weren't. This isn't your fight. You're my wife. On paper. In every way that matters. He took the reins from her hands. You stand with us, or you're calling me a liar. I said we face threats together. I meant it. Ava's composure cracked. He'll kill you both. Then we make it costly. They spent the next 2 days fortifying. Jasper taught Eva the escape routes he'd scouted years before. They moved ammunition closer to defensive positions, filled barrels with water for fighting fires, created clear lines of sight around the buildings. On the second night, Eva showed him the letter she'd kept hidden. Yellowed paper, her father's scrawl, half poetry, half riddle, talking about where the hawk meets the rising sun. I burned the second page, she whispered. 5 years ago. I wanted nothing to do with his blood money. Rafe doesn't believe that. No. Kit appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from his eyes. I'm scared. Ava pulled him close. Me too. But we're scared together, and that makes us stronger. Jasper moved to the window, looking toward the dark hills. His breath caught. Eva. She joined him, Kit between them. Campfires dotted the ridgeline. East, west, north. A dozen at least, maybe more. Rafe had brought an army. The siege was about to begin. Jasper woke Kit before dawn. You're riding to the Holloway place, 20 miles east. No. Kit, this isn't a discussion. I won't leave you. The boy's voice cracked. Not like I left them. Eva understood then. Kit's parents had died while he was visiting a neighbor. He'd been safe while they burned. The guilt had been eating him for 2 years. She knelt, taking his hands. You're not leaving us. You're being smart. When this is over, we'll all be together, I promise. You can't promise that. Then promise me you'll be alive to see us try. Kit threw his arms around her neck, sobbing. Jasper had to pry him loose, carrying him to the horse. The boy from the Holloway ranch waited, solemn-faced, understanding what was coming. They disappeared into the pre-dawn darkness, Kit looking back until he vanished over the ridge. Ava felt something tear inside her chest. They worked through the day in grim silence. Jasper built firing positions behind overturned water troughs. Ava reinforced the window shutters with spare lumber. They marked escape routes with stones only they would recognize. By sunset, the ranch looked like a fortress. If it gets bad, Jasper said, we use the creek bed route. Head north. It'll get bad. They ate cold beans standing up, too tense to sit. The campfires on the hills had multiplied. 15, maybe 20. Rafe had gathered every gun for hire in the territory. Inside, lamplight painted the walls gold. Ava pulled her father's letter from her pocket, the paper soft from years of handling. This is all he left me. Poetry about hawks and sunrises. She looked at Jasper. I burned the rest because I was done being his daughter, done with his choices. Why did you answer my advertisement? His voice was quiet. Your letter was the only one that didn't lie. You didn't promise love or happiness. You talked about survival and second chances. I respected that. I chose you because you wrote the same thing. They stood close now, the lamp between them casting shadows. Tomorrow they might die. Tonight they were alive, two broken people who'd found something worth protecting in each other. Jasper kissed her, not gentle, but desperate and real. Ava kissed him back, her hands in his hair, pulling him closer. They moved to the bedroom, shedding clothes and pretense. What happened there wasn't about passion. It was about the terrifying knowledge that dawn might take everything from them. Afterward, they lay tangled together, listening to the night. "If I don't make it," Eva whispered, "promise you'll tell Kit I kept my word, that I tried." "We'll both tell him." Outside, horses whinnied. Leather creaked. Jasper rolled from the bed, reaching for his rifle. Pulled on her shirt, checking her revolver. Through the window, shadows moved against the stars, dozens of them, circling, closing in. The siege had begun. They came at dawn with fire and fury. Gunfire erupted from 3 directions simultaneously, shattering windows and splintering wood. Jasper took position at the east window, Eva at the west. Their rifles spoke in rhythm, measured and deadly. 2 men fell trying to rush the porch. Another dropped from his horse 50 yards out, Ava's shot finding his chest. But they kept coming, too many to count, spreading around the buildings like a noose tightening. The barn roof caught first. Flames licked upward, black smoke rolling across the yard. "Ava!" Rafe's voice cut through the gunfire. "Come out and I'll let the cowboy live!" She fired toward his voice instead. The bullet sparked off rock where he'd taken cover. "You want to know something, Rafe?" she shouted back. "I burned that letter 5 years ago. There is no gold map." Silence fell across the yard. Then Rafe's laugh, bitter and cruel. "You lying bitch! Burn them out! Burn it all!" Torches sailed through broken windows. The house erupted in flames. Jasper grabbed Eva's arm, pulling her toward the back door. They burst into the yard, running for the horses they'd hidden in the creek bed. A line of riders cut them off. Trapped. Surrounded. Jasper's rifle clicked empty. Eva had 3 bullets left. Then rifle fire exploded from the northern ridge. Not aimed at them, aimed at Rafe's men. Riders poured over the hill, neighbors Jasper had helped over the years, led by old Holloway himself. The siege broke into chaos. Ava saw Rafe dismount, stalking toward her with a knife drawn. She met him in the yard, her own blade in hand. He was faster, stronger, his first slash opening her shoulder. But Ava fought like someone with everything to lose. She ducked his next swing, drove her knife toward his ribs. He caught her wrist, twisted. Her blade fell. His fist caught her jaw, dropping her hard. Rafe stood over her, raising his knife. "Should have stayed in the life." The gunshot came from behind him. Jasper reloaded, his bullet punching through Rafe's shoulder and spinning him sideways. The outlaw clutched his wound, stumbling toward his horse. His surviving men were already fleeing, outmatched and outgunned. "Next time!" Rafe screamed as he mounted. "This isn't over!" But his face was pale, his shoulder bleeding heavily. He spurred his horse east, his men scattering in all directions. Ava tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't hold. Jasper caught her before she collapsed, holding her upright as the ranch burned behind them. Blood ran from the knife wound in her shoulder, mixing with burns on her hands where she'd fought the flames. "We're alive," she whispered. "We're alive." Holloway rode up, grim-faced. "We'll help you rebuild." Ava looked at the burning house, the scorched barn, the bodies in the yard. Then at Jasper's face, at the neighbors who'd risked everything to save them. Home wasn't the buildings. It was this. People who chose to stand together when it mattered most. Eva woke in borrowed blankets under borrowed stars, the ranch house nothing but ash behind her. Pain radiated from the knife wound in her side, from the burns wrapping her hands in white cloth. Jasper sat beside her, changing bandages with steady fingers. "How bad?" "Bad enough, but you'll heal." Kit arrived that afternoon, bursting from Holloway's wagon before it fully stopped. He threw himself at Eva, despite Jasper's warnings about her injuries. She held him with her good arm, feeling him shake. "I thought you were dead," he whispered. "Takes more than that." The boy refused to leave her side. He read to her from his primer, stumbling over words but persistent. When she slept, he stayed close, keeping watch like a small guardian. Something had changed in him during those terrified days away. He'd stopped being the boy who ran and become the boy who stayed. Neighbors arrived with timber and nails. They raised a new barn in 3 days, framed walls for the house in 5. Eva watched from her bedroll, helpless and furious at her weakness. The knife wound had gone deeper than she'd thought, and infection had taken hold before Jasper caught it. "He'll come back," she told Jasper one night, fever bright and afraid. "Rafe doesn't stop. He never stops." "Then we'll be ready." But the news came on the 7th day. A rider from the territorial marshal, grim-faced and official. They'd found Rafe Dalton 2 days' ride east, bled out from the shoulder wound. His gang had scattered like leaves, bounties on their heads. Luther Marlowe's last lieutenant was dead. Eva felt something break loose in her chest. 5 years of running, of looking over her shoulder, of sleeping with knives under her pillow. Finished. "You free now," Jasper said simply. "We're free." 2 weeks after the battle, Eva could stand without help. Jasper caught her trying to walk to the barn, intercepted her halfway. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Answering my letter? Coming here?" Eva looked at him, this scarred man who'd defended her without question, who'd given her a home worth fighting for. "It was the first honest thing I'd done in years." "Good," he smiled, rare and real. "Because you're stuck with us now." Kit ran up, breathless. "The roof's finished. Come see." They walked together through the rebuilt ranch, Eva between them. New timber gleamed in the sun. The land stretched wide and clean toward distant mountains. This place that had nearly killed her, this family she'd almost destroyed by coming here. But they'd survived. Together. And that was everything. Spring arrived 3 months after the siege, painting the grasslands green. The ranch stood rebuilt, stronger than before, with help from neighbors who now stopped by regularly. Kit had grown 2 inches, his voice deeper, confidence replacing the haunted look in his eyes. Eva stood at the stove, cooking breakfast while Jasper and Kit worked the horses outside. Her hands had healed, leaving new scars alongside the old. She wore them without shame now, proof she'd survived everything thrown at her. Kit burst through the door. "Ma, the chestnut mare finally let me saddle her!" He froze, realizing what he'd called her. Eva's throat tightened. She crossed to him, pulling him close. "That's good work, Kit. Your uncle will be proud." The boy hugged her back, no longer afraid of connection. That evening, as the sun painted the sky red, Eva found Jasper by the corral. She took his hand, placing it on her stomach. "There's something you should know." His eyes went wide. "Are you certain?" "Yes." Jasper pulled her close, his face buried in her hair. She felt him tremble, joy and terror mixing equally. "I don't know how to do this." "Neither do I, but we'll figure it out." She smiled. "We're good at that." Saturday brought a gathering in Thornback Junction, celebrating the new schoolhouse. Eva walked beside Jasper and Kit, aware of eyes following her. The whispers had never fully stopped. Luther Marlowe's daughter. Outlaw blood. But Mrs. Holloway approached with a basket of preserves. "For the baby," she said simply, squeezing Ava's hand. Other women followed, welcoming her with small gestures that meant everything. Old Thornton, the blacksmith, clapped Jasper on the shoulder. "Heard quite a tale about your mail-order bride never showing up proper-like. Must have been disappointed when things went sideways." Jasper looked across the yard where Eva taught Kit a dance step, both of them laughing. "She arrived exactly when she was supposed to." "How's that?" "Because the woman I needed wasn't the one I thought I ordered. She was better." They rode home as sunset bled into twilight, Kit chattering about the party. Eva leaned against Jasper, feeling the baby move inside her, watching their ranch appear in the distance. She'd come here running from death, wearing a blood-soaked wedding dress, bringing violence to innocent people. She'd expected to hide, to disappear, to remain the frightened daughter of a monster. Instead, she'd found Jasper, who saw her scars and stood beside her anyway. Found Kit, who needed her as much as she needed him. Found neighbors who'd fought for her when they barely knew her name. Home wasn't where you came from. It was who you chose to stand with when everything burned. And Eva had chosen well. If this story touched your heart, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow we have another incredible tale of survival and second chances waiting for you. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.